I feel like an absolute astronaut right now based on this colour scheme. This next point might be painful for some of you to hear, but I'm just going to say it. Today, I'm giving my review of this Casio LF-20W, which I've worn non-stop for 1 week. I also plan on transforming this watch with some cool mods and upgrades, so stick around to the end. So let's start with what I enjoyed about the LF-20W. I enjoyed the watch's clean, simple design, which did receive compliments over the week. I found these pushers were a great length, meaning that even without looking at the watch, you're able to find and press them without issue. Complementing this ability is a beep of a different tone when you scroll back to the home menu. The countdown timer made a handy companion for me to cook my steaks with, although I must admit it would have been even easier if they included an auto repeat function on this as well. I enjoyed the ability to press the bottom right button on the home menu to cycle between 4 different time zones, although we'll come back to this because it did end up causing some issues for me. I very much fancy the little animations that occur in the top right as you cycle between the different modes, just adds a bit of spice to using it. I wore this watch to a couple of beach volleyball games and am pleased to report that no sand accumulated in the cracks or crevices, which is more than can be said for some of the other watches that I've reviewed. It was also a pleasure to wear on the field, being so thin and lightweight on the wrist. I also found that the water resistance of this watch is underrated. According to Casio's own chart, the watch is only rated for light rain and washing your hands. However, I was able to put it to the test in a hot shower every day, and as you can see, it's performing just fine. I'll leave a link to the LF-20W below for anyone who wants to get their hands on one. Oh, we also received a couple of cool nickname suggestions for this watch from a few viewers. George suggests that we call this the Twin Graph 2.0, given it's a tribute to the original inspiration. And Sam, from Sam's Watch Review, suggests we call this the Mini Royale, based on its similarities to the iconic Casio Royale AE1200. By the way, I'd highly suggest checking out Sam's Watch Reviews YouTube channel, as he puts out some great content to do with watch reviews and mods that I think you'll really enjoy. Now, let's talk about the things that I didn't like about this watch and things that I think could be improved. I am disappointed with the scratch resistance of this resin glass lens. As you can see, I've accumulated some rather noticeable scratches around the date window which cannot be polished away with a cloth, so I would have loved to have seen this be made of something a little bit more durable. While I take full responsibility for my own laziness, just know that this alarm was not loud enough to wake me up. I also thought this was really weird. Check it out. If we go into the timer, note that we only have a single digit for the milliseconds. And if we start it, it really only records that 1 digit. Whereas if we go to the stopwatch, note how it's got 2, and we can see that it's clearly capable of using both of them. So why on earth doesn't it do so for the timer? I also noticed 2 issues with the backlight at night time. First of all, the digits become illegible at a certain angle. Look how they're visible now, but as soon as the backlight's on, they almost fade away. And the second issue I noticed, it might be hard to see here, but there's actually a bit of backlight bleeding around the edges, and it's especially noticeable at night. This next point might be painful for some of you to hear, but I'm just going to say it. This entire top left analog section of the watch is redundant. Case in point, with the digital time now covered, I want you to quickly tell me what time it is based on the analog clock. It's not that easy, right? And that's because, if we remove it, you'll see that we're actually at 5:30. And where's the minute marker? Right down there, aligned with the permanent fixture, which is part of the markings. Now, if we turn on all of the markings so you can actually see what it looks like, there is different sections for all of the different time slots. However, the way that it's implemented, it's just not simple to tell the time, as you'll often find that the hands line up with the other permanent parts. And that being said, it's so much easier to just simply look at the digital time right below it and know exactly what time it is. The other thing is these pushers. Sometimes they are just not responsive at all. I found myself pressing more than I had to most of the time. Sometimes it's just, see, I'm pressing it and it's not registering. Really, really inconsistent. And these inconsistent pushes made me feel like I lost one whole productive hour in a day. Let me explain. The real time for me is 5:55, but on that day, my fat wrist roll must have somehow accidentally pressed this button. And look what happens. We go from 5:55 to 4:55. So I was walking around for the entire day thinking I was making good time on stuff. And then when I finally realized, wait, I'm not in New York City. What time is it really? That I essentially lost an entire 1 hour of my day. This must be what daylight savings feels like. But in Australia, we don't have daylight savings, and also we read our day before the month, so it would have been nice if this was an adjustable setting as well. And the last of what feels like about a million issues with this watch is the microscopic 16mm lug width, which has made it really hard to source compatible straps for this watch, and in fact I've had to buy some adapters just to get it up to size, which you're going to see shortly as we mod it. Now let's get the parts out for our upcoming mod, and then we're going to decide on the next watch that we're going to wear for Watch of the Week. So what would you prefer that I wear and review next? On the left we have an absolute classic, the Casio A158. And on the right we have a SKME watch, the 1988, which has been receiving a lot of recommendations from community members. To cast your vote, head over to the Goat Reviews YouTube profile, click on the community tab, and there you'll see a poll to cast your vote. Oh, and it seems like you guys really liked the idea of me borrowing, wearing, and reviewing a community member's watch, so thanks for voting on that, and stay tuned for that happening in the future. And now is the time to ram that like button because we are about to mod this watch. Let's go. I've decided to upgrade the straps on the LF-20W with this cool NATO strap, and we're going to be trying to pull off a bit of a color scheme here. I've also had to buy these adapters so that we can convert the 16mm lug width to support these NATO straps. And the part that I'm most excited for is these brand new gradient lens screen filters, which I have never used before. I purchased them on Etsy. Any of the parts that you'll see here, I'll leave links for you below. Let's take a look at these. So here they are. Now, these are the AE1200 size. I went with that because they were all the same price, and these are the biggest. And we have these different color options for gradients that we can put on the screen. So I'm very excited. We're going to go with the blue one today. So let's cut it out. Let's get this on for a wrist check, and I can already tell by these straps that it is going to be super comfy. Boom. I am so happy with how this build has turned out, especially the gradient blue screen lens. I feel like an absolute astronaut right now based on this colour scheme, but I'd love to hear your thoughts below. What do you think and what might you have changed with this build? Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our other watch reviews and upgrades, and if you thought this was cool, please share it with a friend who might like it too. Here's some more great content for you to watch next, and here's a link to the Goat Reviews Facebook page. Come drop us a like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.